Welcome to Squirrel, the podcast for distracted writers, hosted by Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner.
Hello, everyone. This is Candace.
This is Jody.
And welcome to Squirrel, the podcast for the distracted writer.
And we are so distracted today.
It has been we've had a lot of technical difficulties and we're a little grumpy.
Survive. We will survive.
I hope this goes well. This is our second time trying this, so we'll see how this goes. We are talking about audiobooks today. And
it's a fascinating topic.
Jody's super excited about it.
I am so excited because I know it's going to come with Candy berating me about some personal lack in my business acumen.
I'm not gonna
personal lack.
It's not going to be berating.
But we're going to start with the whole conversation about, do you listen to audiobooks?
Yes. So, okay, a lot of us consume books through audio form, right? I know you do. I know that I definitely do. Some people think that it's cheating.
Yes, those purists out there, they're very, very, well, they have feelings about what constitutes reading a book. And I say they can shove it.
That's I love that. If we're talking audiobooks and the benefits as independent authors, is it worth doing? That's really one of the things that I know a lot of people have questions about. Especially we have a lot of friends who are independently published. There's a lot of you out there that have a lot of questions about this. So let's dig in. Tell me, Jody, about what kind of audiobooks you listen to.
So I'm primarily an audiobook consumer. When I have the time to, if I ever have time to sit down and read a book, it just doesn't happen very often where I can sit down and enjoy a paper book. And so if I have an audiobook, I can listen to it when I'm driving. I can listen to it when I'm doing chores. I can listen to it when I mow my lawn. It's sometimes the only way I can enjoy a book. I really do enjoy it. It's nice.
Yeah, no, it's a good, yes, it does help me clean the house.
Absolutely.
But we're really busy. And one of the things that I enjoy about audiobooks is staying relevant with our genre. Because it's really important to keep up on what is currently moving through young adult fiction. And that was one of the ways that you can do it rather quickly and still be able to write. I know we both listen to a lot of audiobooks that are autobiographies. I know you do. What are your favorites?
My favorites, or at least the ones I've done most recently, have been the ones by Minnie Driver and Tom Felton, because I think they're such different people, but they're really they're charming.
They both have lovely accents.
They do have nice accents.
So
that helps a lot. If you're partial to British accents, then it's just lovely to listen to.
Yeah, I do like to listen to autobiographies while I'm writing, when I'm in a creative mood, because I'm afraid that other voices, like the fantasy genre, might impede in my creative voice.
Yeah, that does happen. If I happen to read a Terry Pratchett, all of a sudden I'm writing funny. It's something that I think ADHD people tend to do. We mimic accents if we hear them, and sometimes we don't realize we're doing it. We can pick up on styles without realizing it and start writing different than we normally write. So I have to be careful, but at the same time, sometimes I'm reading an author that's really good, and it inspires me to write better.
Oh,
so
yeah, I get you.
Just finished Delaney Taylor. She amazes me, so I'm very happy.
That's awesome. Does she have like a good audio reader? I know the audio readers is really important to have a good reader.
So I'm not snobbish about my readers. I don't have audiobook narrators that I hunt down and listen to their stuff because they're amazing. I know you do.
I totally do.
You have feelings about
everything
this.
From Jim Dale should be listened to. He's like the best narrator ever. He has the Guinness Book of World Records when it comes to audio voices for when he did the Harry Potter series.
Which is really impressive.
And every one of them sounds amazing. He's just amazing. And then I really like Julie Whalen is very sought after when it comes to audiobooks. So anything that she reads, I mean, sometimes I'm like, I feel like I'm listening to the same book over again because it's like, is this the same character even? But she's very well sought after too.
And so I couldn't name an audiobook narrator to save my life. I'm just happy that it's available and I can listen to it while I'm doing other things.
Yeah. You should listen to the Narnia ones.
I'm told they're excellent.
Yeah, because they're like real big people. Like, I'm trying to remember. Kenneth Branagh does.
Ooh, I like Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, he does The Magician's Nephew. Patrick Stewart does The Last Battle. I mean, these are really cool people doing some really cool readings. So I'm just, I promise I am not a, I don't work for like Audible. I don't have any kind of credits for that, but I do love to consume books that way. I do like to read. It's pretty much 50-50 for me with books that like I like to read at night in bed to calm my brain. But I do like to commute. I like to listen to books. So, Jody, here we go.
Oh.
Yes, as an author, where is your knowledge with audiobooks?
Clearly not in the same place as yours. I have not produced my own audiobook because it has not come up in my business plan to make sense to do so. I was going to wait until my trilogy was finished at least to even start considering that option. But that's been a minute now since I finished that. And so it is on the table now. And I just am too afraid to put my feet in because I don't feel like I have all the puzzle pieces organized in a way that makes sense for me.
That makes sense. I get that. Let's see. As an independent author, doing an audiobook when you don't know anything is very intimidating because you don't know where to go and not where to start. So that's what we're going to talk. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about here because I've done all of this stuff. So let me go to the beginning. When I was first published, I asked my publisher if I had the rights of my audio rights, and they said yes, I could do whatever I wanted with audio rights. So this was 11 years ago in 2013. And I can't believe I had to think of that number, 2013. And the sophistication of audiobooks wasn't where, and producing them was not where it is now. Now it's very easy, honestly. It takes time, but it's rather easy. And I went all in and looked into what I could do. So once my trilogy was out, I got approached by a friend who was also an audiobook reader, and she wanted to produce my books. And so this was a very good opportunity for me to understand the business, how to upload audiobooks, how to get quality, there's a lot of little things that you like do a contract, where your distribution is, that kind of stuff. So I really,
in a lot of ways, it sounds like a lot of the pieces you need to set up a print book or an ebook. There's a lot of tiny moving pieces that you have to have figured out before you can actually say go.
That is true. Yeah. So I want to put a caveat that I will be talking about ACX. ACX really is the best place for an indie writer who is wanting to get an audiobook done of their stuff. It is the cheapest way, for sure, because it's really expensive. I'll get into some of the audio hours, how much that costs, and hopefully not bore everybody, but I will be just talking about ACX. So
I'm going to pretend my eyes aren't rolling back in my head because this is information I need.
Yes. Okay.
Technically.
Some things I want you to think about. Some books do not do well in audio. Why would you think that?
I think some nonfictions would be extremely difficult to put in audio, mainly because how does one read a chart?
Yeah, very good. There, you can't do it.
How does one describe a picture that's supposed to be what you're teaching about, like biology?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't like listen to those books, but
There
I
are some
do.
nonfictions that are excellent in audio, but that's not what we're talking about.
No. Well,
You had a different feeling about certain fiction books that
it was just
don't do as well.
There are things I just want people to think about, that sometimes when you are writing a book, you need to listen to it. Like, you need to read it out loud to make sure it makes sense and that it sounds well-rounded. Their poetry is sometimes hard to separate the voices, limited. If you have one audio narrator and you have limited omniscient view, you need to be very clear about how you present each character. It needs to be different. And I'm not just talking about characterization, I'm talking about presentation. So then also dream sequences are difficult. I learned that because I have dream sequences.
You definitely
So
do.
How you present that, you and your producer need to really work together on how to make sure that the listener understands what's happening. So that was one of the things that I really played with my first series.
And as I was reading, like, I just barely finished it like yesterday. I just finished The Daughter of Shadow and Bone in audiobook yesterday, and they chose to include music at parts of the recording. But because I didn't have the visual cue of this is a section break in the book, it startled me. Every single time I'm like, shoot, did I turn my radio on? Did I hit the wrong button? Is this YouTube coming through while my book is playing? And I'm like, oh no, it's there. Okay, there's music in this audiobook. It threw me off.
Yeah. Do you like it?
I thought it was nice. Like, the music was kind of cool, but I wasn't like, I don't expect that in an audiobook because that's not what I go there for.
Right. It's not so much a book being read to you, is more of an audio experience is what they're giving you there.
But it wasn't like an audio drama, because that would be if they had like the footsteps of people walking down the hall and then different voiced actors for the different characters. So I think there's all these different degrees of what kind of entertainment you're consuming. So I think if you're going to do a straight out audiobook, like if you want to include the music, I think you have to be very careful.
Yeah, and you have to get
I've heard it done badly.
And it needs to be rights free, or you have to credit that, you have to buy that kind of stuff.
Or create your own, which is another problem.
Oh, please don't, unless
Please
you're
don't.
extremely talented. Just saying. Let me talk about costs quickly, about a producer. So they are done by, I'm really not going to give you all the instructions here, but I'm going to
say. What filter setting do I need to have it set on?
No, that is not what we're talking about here.
Oh, good.
Producers. So if you are not an audiobook reader, you should have a producer do it. You should have someone professional do your book. And in ACX, there is an audition process. And they have something called AudioShare. An AudioShare is for us independent authors who don't have the upfront funds to give like a reader so much money. And so
now, we're saying reader, we mean narrator at this point.
Yes, yeah. They're called producers. They're the ones that will be producing the audio files for you to listen to. Okay, so I'll be using producer doing it.
I mean, producer and narrator. I just hear reader, and all of a sudden I'm like, the person reading my book is not part of this equation yet.
Yeah. So if you want to just pay for if you want to own the rights and just pay someone to do it, be the producer, give you the audio files, whatever, they can be very expensive, and it's per hours read.
It's per finished hour, isn't it?
Yes, per finished hour. So there we go. So you're looking at a cheap one would be 50, and they can get really expensive
every single hour. So Like the book I just finished was 21 hours.
Yeah.
So if that one cost $100 an hour, it would have been a $2,000 book to produce.
Exactly. But that was if they're doing it through. They're probably. I mean, I know that
I'm pretty
Shadow
sure Lainey
Bone,
Taylor is not going to be using
they have somebody
AudioShare.
really special doing it.
This was just a example in numbers.
So putting up those upfront costs, it's really expensive, and it needs to be worth it for you to get your money back. So sometimes when you do a trilogy like I did, and you're spending hours per finished hour for 3 books, that's a lot of hours that you're paying for. If it's, let's say, $2,000 now you're down, are you going to make back that money? So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. So AudioShare is a really great way to...
So, like, if you needed to cut costs, if you do AudioShare, you wouldn't have to pay up front.
Right.
You would have to promise to give a share of your royalty from the audiobook sales themselves to the producer of the book.
And it's 40, 40, 20. So 40 for you, 40 for the audio reader, and 20%
for your platform.
Yes, exactly. And Audible does do exclusives. Like you can do Audible exclusive, which gives you more perks, like you get more percentage.
It's almost like the same as Kindle Unlimited. It sounds like the programs are pretty similar, where as long as they have the rights to be exclusive to your book, they will reward you, hopefully with like more downloads and more per hours listened to, because that's how you get paid. My first book is technically in audiobook because my small press I went through, that was one of their items of interest. That's what made them special. That's something they used to help attract authors to them. Were they good at producing said audiobooks? That's debatable. So they kept changing their process as they were figuring out what worked best and what didn't. And so my book came up while they were in between one way of doing it and another. And so they were a bit harried and hectic about when they were doing it. They weren't communicating with me about what was going on. And they never asked me how my character names were pronounced. And I kept on waiting.
That was one of the things that I had to, was an audio
like, you're
guide.
supposed to be able to tell them. They're supposed to ask you, especially in a fantasy book where names are weird. Like, they're supposed to ask you
to my audio reader.
And I was trying to be I was trying to be a good author with this company. So I didn't want to pester them, but they kept on not asking me things. I'm like, how are things going? What's going on? Can I listen to some files? And they would not communicate with me. And then they finally are like, okay, here's here are the files before we submit them. Just give them a listen to. Well, it was 12 hours of files. And so I'm trying my best to listen to them in a timely way. And I'm making all these copious notes. I'm like, this name is wrong. This name changes its pronunciation halfway through the book.
Oh, no.
This file has really bad background noise. This one has this weird clipping sound that's happening. And when I gave it back to them, and I did it in like 6 days, they're like, oh, we already submitted it.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, that's nice. That file is still up there if y'all want to listen to it. And ACX does go through and they put the files through their own audio quality thing.
Yeah, there is a
lot
QC.
of those weird things that were driving me crazy did get filtered out, but the character names are still different and wrong and various. Poor Cassim started out as Cassim and turned into Cassim halfway through the book. Cassim is my father's middle name.
Oh,
I'm just like, could we fix that?
No, that's
nope.
That's too bad. Yeah, that's one thing that, going back just quickly before we wrap up, going back to the ACX, you do an audition process there if you want to do AudioShare. So you get to listen to people read your selection, and it's hilarious.
And they did send me some of the auditions, but
Mhm.
because they were going to do audio share and they didn't have a proven reputation of sales,
Gotcha.
they had a really hard time finding narrators that were willing to risk spending the time.
Yeah.
And so I had one with such a heavy Irish accent that I could not understand the words, but it sounded beautiful. So I'm like, I love the idea. I love the enthusiasm. I have to be able to understand the words. And so I'm like, we're going to have to pass on this one. So they ended up using an in-house narrator who I don't think had done audiobooks before.
Oh, that's too bad.
Which is why they never asked me the really important questions.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, it's a tricky.
Make sure you ask the really important questions.
Yeah, you definitely need to get the right reader or narrator, because that's one of the things that when I'm listening to, I need a good audio reader because it needs to be a different experience for me than reading a book, What do you think about AI though?
So it is like the bleeding edge of audiobooks is that these voices that are computer generated are becoming more and more natural. And the freakier thing is, if you have enough recorded audio of yourself, you can feed it into the machine, and then the machine can read your book in your voice for you.
Hey!
If you want to learn more about this, Joanne Penn on the Creative Pen, that's Penn with a double N. Mm-hmm. Please give us money, Joanne. She has some brilliant episodes that talk all about this, and because she loves futurism, it does come up quite often when she does her updates.
Okay.
And so she was talking quite a bit about, because she has so many hours of her doing her podcast and her reading her books, that she has a model for nonfiction, she has a model for fiction, and she has a model for podcasts.
Oh.
That they can read her stuff for her. And she says when you want to edit it, you just trim words in and out. It never says it never says like. It doesn't click.
Oh, I click.
You click. As a baby sound engineer, I'm learning all of these really fun things, like I say very loud P's and Candy clicks.
I click. I don't know why.
So I think the future, I think you could probably get a good quality audiobook in the future that is AI read, but I think there's going to be a soft spot for readers who really love a good performance to keep going back to these excellent narrators who have earned a reputation. Your Jim Dales of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people who just want cheap audiobooks because they're like, I want to read this. I'm very short on time, and this is the only thing the library had. It will probably still do the job. Is there an ethical problem there? Because we're cutting out people who give a good performance.
Yeah,
we're going to make them finding work harder. True, yes, but it's like when we started watching TV and not going to the theater.
Yeah.
We still go to the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, not as many people go to the theater because we do have TVs, but there will always be a demand for the authenticity of a real performance.
Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. Excellent question.
Actually, I'll do my closing thoughts. I don't really have many, honestly. If you're an author who wants to get your book in audio, please do not just use AI to do this. Pick a person. That's what I say. Be aware of cost and make sure that the investment is worth it. And this is why audio share might be a really good option for you independent authors.
According to statistics, audiobooks are the fastest growing format of between paper books, ebooks, and audiobooks.
I believe it.
Of books becoming available, of books being consumed. So when we look at the curves of people who are wanting to read audiobooks, more and more and more people are going over to audiobooks every year. Mm-hmm. So there is a demand in the market, and there's still not enough books to fill that demand. So if you do your audiobook sooner than later, you're going to benefit from a large population who wants it and a smaller number of books available. Will this even out eventually? Absolutely. All of us authors will get smart and catch on. eventually.
Are you
when we get to it.
listening to your own words?
No, absolutely. I refuse.
You just said what you need to do.
I had to buy a laptop. That would have cost me one book to get an audio. Actually, that really is close. Dang it.
No, it's okay. I'm just going to encourage Jody. Everyone encourage Jody to get her books in audio.
Yes,
and get
please harass me publicly.
Yes, please. Let's get back that awful audio recording of your first book.
I would love to.
I'd love to hear it with, done with a
If it was
professional.
done amazing, that would bring me joy. Do you have an assignment for our listeners this week?
I did before I put away my paper.
Yeah, something about listening to something.
It's just easy. I just want to know if you like to what you like to hear in audio form. What are your favorite books? Do you have a favorite audio author? And I want you to post this on our social media because I'd love to hear it. I'm going to put a little question out there so you can comment there. Okay, that's it.
All right. Thank you for listening today. This has been Squirrel. Be sure to join us next week. We are going to talk about something completely out of the blue.
I love it.
Candy pitched an idea and I thought it was great.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the science fiction and fantasy elements of none other than Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Because sure.
I asked
why
you a
not?
question. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be highly entertaining. Please remember, if you've enjoyed anything that we've said, or if we made you laugh, we do have Patreon or a Buy Us a Coffee accounts. Find the information in the description.
Yes. All right.
This has been a blast.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Squirrel Podcast for the Distracted Writer with Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner. Please like and subscribe to our podcast for updates and new episodes, and find more information at our website, squirrelpodcast.com. Stay distracted, everyone.
Yes, I'm expressive.
You are expressive.
Knock
it off.
Okay.
Make it easy for me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Let's do this.
I would love to talk all about audiobooks and have you chastise me.